Well, welcome back to Operation Bushcraft, friends and family. Today we are going to go over the C's of survival. Now, Mr. David Canterbury came up with the 10 C's. I believe it's Campcraft Outdoors have what they call their Emergen Cs. And as I've told you before, I've dealt with things where you've heard people say, build the perfect bug out bag. Okay, some people say there's 10 C's, some people say there's 12 C's. The pirates say there's the high C's. I mean, it's whatever. But I'm going to go over a few that, as you see here on this table, I carry with me on a pretty regular basis. Now, again, I make a list, get out my glasses, just so I don't get too far off track. But if we're talking about C's, although it's not necessarily a survival tool, one of the most important C's in my world is coffee. But all that aside, I'm going to break this down for you. I'm going to go over the first 5 C's, which I consider to be EDCs. And it's different for everybody. You have a cutting tool. Now, whether you've got a folding saw, or you've got a buck saw, or you've got a more interesting, intricate saw of some caliber, I mean, regardless of how you do it, everybody has pretty much their own cutting tool. Everybody has a saw they like. Everybody has a brand they like. I myself, I prefer a Silky. I think they cut smoother. I think they're cleaner. I think they're faster. Gerber makes this folding saw right here. And as you can see, the tension is pretty tight. It's a pretty good little saw. But when I think survival, when I think, what am I really going to need? Do I really consider carrying a saw that is pretty hefty? You can look on this table and you can see some things that are pretty hefty. But cutting tools, such as a knife. But what kind of knife do you want to carry? Do you want to carry a knife that's going to make feather sticks, be able to tiller a bow, be able to cut branches off a tree? I mean, what you decide to carry ultimately is up to you. Now, I will tell you, everything you see here, for the most part, I carry on a regular basis. The Gerber saw, I do not carry it on a regular basis. It's a good saw, don't carry it on a regular basis. I recently traded this saw in for my new Silky saw. My Mora Garbird, I don't leave home without it. This is my Survival American Express card. Now, not too long ago, since we are talking about the first 5 C's, I've pretty much covered cutting tools. However, I have a Swiss Army knife. That is something that I carry every day. It has an actual belt strap on the back. I don't leave home without this. I took it off my belt today just to simply show you it is made out of paracord. Mama J made that out of paracord. My combustion device. I have several smaller ferro rods. That's a pretty decent sized ferro rod. And the reason being is because if this is all I'm carrying, this is all I'm going to need. Now, on top of that being said, on the other side, I have a Bic lighter in its own little case with its own little set of multi-tools. And it didn't cost me a whole lot. There's a knife, there's an awl, there's a pair of scissors that once you fully extend it, those scissors work. Now I will tell you, I have used those scissors. I have punched a hole with this awl. And this knife, if you're careful enough, will strike your ferro rod. And I put that all together as my knife and my combustion device, my cutting tool, if you will, because it's a C. So my cutting tool, couple of combustion devices, and like I said, I carry it on my belt all the time. Now cover. Cover could be many things. It could be a tarp, could be a tent, could be a hammock, could be a raincoat, could be a poncho, could be any number of things. This itty bitty bag, believe it or not, is just shy of a full tarp. It's mylar on one side, it's stretchy on the other, it rolls up compact. I have not had a chance to use it yet, but in this pouch that I ordered, there came 4 of those tarps. So if I have 2 of them, I am more than guaranteed a shelter and a way to get out of the rain. Plus it's mylar. I'll cover that in a minute. So cover. And then a container. Now, your containers could be 2-quart pots that you pack everything into. It could be a 32-ounce still bottle and a nesting cup. It could be, I'm sure you all have seen this, this is the Stanley pot. Inside this Stanley pot, you've got the lid. It's got a way right here to pour the water out of it. You've got 2 cups, and you've got the inside of this is stamped, and it's stamped on the outside so you can measure how much water you're putting into something. It's just really interesting. As a cook pot, you could do that. That could be a container. Now, my container that I carry with me is a 32-ounce bottle. We make a portable water distillery. Not going to get on my soapbox too much, but I will tell you, this you don't have to back flush. This you don't have to buy a filter for to the tune of $70 or $80, which is not back flushable. This is a one-time purchase, and this is the only way you are going to desalinate water. So container, then cordage. I carry a bag of cordage. And not only do I carry a bag of cordage, my cordage, in its own right, is color-coded. Orange, green, brown. And then, since that's just paracord, in my haversack down here, I also have a roll of 36 bank line. So there's 100 feet. There's 50 feet. There is 125 feet. So just in that bag, I have 100, I have 50, and I have 125. That's 275 feet of cordage and a roll of bank line. Because you never know what you're going to need. And the cutting tool, the combustion device, the cover, the container, and the cordage. they're going to tell you that this is the most important. You're going to need to boil water, regardless of how you do it. You're going to need a cup to drink out of to catch your distilled water. You're going to need a way to start a fire, and you're going to need a way to kind of create a wood wedge, split wood, collect wood, whatever else. Because as long as you have some sort of cutting device, cutting tool, whether it be just a knife, a saw, a big knife, whatever you decide to carry is going to help you create your fire. Fire is the lifeblood of survival. I've said this before. Cooks your food, boils your water, scares off predators. Got to have water. Go back and look at your rule of threes. You can make it 3 days without water. So even if you just put together this bottle, that cup, had a kit that you could carry on your pocket, and you carried a lightweight folding saw, this will get you a fire. This will get you started building a shelter. If you know different techniques on how to tie knots, and you know a thing or two about natural cordage and reverse wrapping, you can be squared away. But you need to find a way to have your cutting tool, your combustion device, which is the lighter here, the ferro rod, the Swiss Army knife. That's my cutting tool. Those are my combustion devices. Your cover, your container, and some amount of cordage. That right there in a little bag would be enough to do what it needs to do to get you where you need to be. Paracord turns into fishing line. You got enough of it, it can turn into a gill net. Shouldn't be a big problem. But those would be the most important things to have on your person. Those would be your on your hip, within reach EDCs, your everyday carries. Now, when I did this, next one we're getting ready to go into cargo tape. Now, I don't care if it's duct tape. I don't care if it's Gorilla Tape. I don't care if it's 100-mile-an-hour tape. Shout out to our veterans, you know. You'll know what 100-mile-an-hour tape is. It's military duct tape. It's not very good. Gorilla Tape, by all means, is what I carry. But when I went to put it in this container, because I want to keep my tape clean, I want to keep my tape to where I can get to it if I need to. And yes, it does take a little bit to get out of the container. I'm not even going to lie. Because it is a full roll of Gorilla Tape for the most part. It's only missing 1 or 2 wraps because I had to take it off there to get it to go in this container. And yeah, it takes a little bit to get it out because it does fit tight. Thing about this is not going to go in my bag and get all kinds of lint. It's not going to lay out and get all kinds of wood dust on it. I did have to take off a few wraps. So I labeled all my tins, Gorilla Tape, with either tape-made letters or tape-made diagrams to know where everything was at, so that when I go into my pack and I grab a tin, I can look at it and go, this is what I need, or that's not the one I need. And then taking off the Gorilla Tape, I repurposed it so I knew what was where. So, cargo tape. We did a video not too long ago on the compass, the nomenclature of the compass. I would suggest that if you are going to have a lanyard, part of that lanyard be pace speeds. So you know how far you've gone. You know how far you walked. I'm not going to give a class on setting up a pace count. I'm just saying pace speeds on there. If you know how to use them, will get you where you need to be, let you know how far you travel. Candling device. Candling device is really nothing more than a headlamp. But let me tell you what. I like this one because it's hands-free. I can take this bad boy, put this on my hat. I can have my hands free. I can do what I'm doing. Turn the light off. Go back. Light, noise, discipline. Go back to work. Go right back. I can adjust it. As you can see, this was a little sensitive. I can adjust it where I need it to be. As long as I keep my hands away from it, I can get right where I need to be. I can read what I need to read. Shut it off. Go on about my business. And if you've got one or two of these and extra batteries, they're great. You put them on your head, move your hand. Excellent headlamp. Now, granted, it's not UCO. It's a little headlamp you can get on Temu. You can get 4 or 5 of them for like 10, 12 bucks. You can put them all in your pack. Got it. Combination tool. Now, this one I'm not too sure how I feel about it. Because you can get a pretty decent combination tool. I like the ones that got the needle nose pliers, got the cutting device, things of that nature. Got all the little tools on it. It's good to have. Can do a lot of things. In a survival situation, I mean, I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Combination tool. The next one, I'm a little bit different than everybody else. The next one is cloth. I carry quite a few all cotton bandanas. 100% cotton, full bandanas. I can fashion cravats. I can make slings. I can cut them into strips, make braces. I can cut them into strips. I can make charcloth. I have this is not one of the C's, but I have a cooling rack. So that if I'm in a hot environment, I can help regulate my CTC, or core temperature control. I can keep cool. I can do medical. Some people say that you need to have a 3 foot by 3 foot bright colored blanket or shima, depends on how you want to pronounce it, which is a head covering. Again, totally up to you. You could get a bright blue, bright pink, bright orange 3X shirt, fold it up, put a stick through it, cut the sleeves, tie it up, wave it around as a signal flag. Like I said, different strokes for different folks. So that's cloth. Now a serrate. A serrate is nothing more than basically a medical sack. This is, I think this is my level 1 first aid kit. But in here, on top of all the stuff, I have some anti-itch cream. I have some triple antibiotic ointment. I have some lip balm. All those are serrates. They are a medical antimicrobial salve, Neosporin, A&D ointment, Gold Bond powder, stuff like that, lotion, anything that gives you some sort of medicinal purpose is a cereal. Okay, I'll take that. And then we come into the next C, circumvention, which is a workaround. If you don't have a flashlight, if you don't have a headlamp, if you don't have a candling device of some sort, you could have 2 or 3 glow sticks, as long as you've got cordage tied together. You can sling them around. Somebody will see a big lighted circle if you sling it fast enough. Silcock key turns on water. Lock picking tools. Shout out to Dayton at Ballistic Mischief. Lock picking tools are a good circumvention. If you don't want to eat off a stick, I didn't put this up earlier and I didn't make it a point, but I carry a set of silverware inside my cup. Now, if I am actually cutting a piece of meat, I like this set because when I push down on the knife, the blade doesn't bend, and I can. And then when it's done, I just wash them up, put them up. There's a peg on one end and a hole on the other. They go right back together. And if you played your cards right and you stuck with your container, once you put that all together, your silverware is in your cook pot container. Again, it's different for everybody. But those are just a few little circumventions, workarounds, ways to work around the problem. Now, there's some stuff everybody says you need to carry a cloth sail needle. I carry about, I think this one has, yeah, it says right here, quantity 25. 25 decent sized cloth sail needles. My sewing kit, my cloth needles, an extra striker for a ferro rod. Everything should be multi-purpose. Yeah, there's no reason why, okay, I'm just going to have a container for cloth sail needles. Or, you know, I'm going to carry one handkerchief. Common sense is probably the biggest C next to coffee. Target as big as my mouth and I missed. But common sense, probably the biggest C. The next I would have to say would be conceptual practice. Once you understand the concept of all of this and how it works, and you practice using your cover, using your combustion devices, using your cutting tools, once you go out there and you learn ways to work around things, your circumvention, then you can go outside of things. So we've covered the first 5, which are your cutting tool, your combustion device, your cover, your container, and your cordage. We covered cargo tape, compass, candling device, combination tool, cloth, which again is your shimmer or a 3X shirt, bright in color. You can cut the sleeves on, even if it's short. You can tie them together around a stick. Life is good. So there's your cloth, your serrate, and your circumvention. That is 12. Coffee. Common sense. That's 14. Conceptual practice. That's 15. We covered the cloth sail needles. You can use your cargo tape, wrap it onto a lighter. You can wrap it onto a cutting tool. I could very easily put my cloth sail needles down here, wrap a decent amount of cargo tape on my knife and take it with me that way. Couple of things that I've never heard anybody talk about is you might need, and this is optional, these are just mine, a constant supply of energy. So if you get a solar device with 3 or 4 panels, I mean, you may not need it, but then again, you might. So you might want to consider a constant source of energy. You charge it up during the day, you put it on the back of your pack, you let the sun hit it, you stop, you recharge your GPS. There's a Garmin, I'm not real sure which one it is, GPS device. If that GPS device isn't charged, you're not getting rescued. So a constant supply of energy. Now me personally, and I know it sounds crazy to a lot of people, but I carry a climbing rope. I carry a big climbing rope. In all honesty, it is simply because I like the figure 4 floating bed. And this is my mattress. Also, should somebody fall down a cliff, somebody get hurt, something happen, I have a climbing rope. So on top of the cutting tool, the combustion device, the cover, the container, and the cordage, your top 5 should be considered EDCs. You have cargo tape, compass, candling device, combination tool, your cloth, which we said again, bright colored shirt, 3X, shimmer, 3x3 blanket, cloth, whatever. Your serrate, your circumvention, that's 12. We've talked about cloth sail needles. We've talked about the conceptual practice of using your stuff. We've talked about a climbing rope, constant supply of energy, common sense. But in a survival situation, in a true survival situation, what kind of food are you going to put in your pot? What kind of shelter are you going to build with your cover? What kind of fire are you going to build with your combustion device? What's going to make you comfortable? Comfort. In a true survival situation, I don't see a big fluffy quilt. I don't see a nice fluffy pillow. I don't see a candy bar or corn for popping because we're doing C's. So comfort. And when it comes to comfort, you might want to carry a sleeping pad. But if you've got a cover that's a tarp, you should carry contractor trash bags, another C. Because you can pile them full of leaves and pine needles and everything else to make your grounding pad or your mattress. So contractor trash bags. I mean, the only thing I don't have here to really show you is the 3x3 blanket, or the 3X bright colored shirt, or a bright colored shimmer. or Shema. Depends on how you want to pronounce it. I'm not sure on the exact pronunciation. But when it comes down to what you carry, another C is the constant weight on your back, on your shoulders, on your waist. How much are you going to be able to constantly carry and still get to where you need to be? That is something you got to think about. And that goes right back to common sense. So I hope this has answered some of your questions about the C's. I'm sure you can come up with more C's if you really needed to. I tried to throw some C's in there that not everybody has or that I didn't find. Kind of some points to ponder. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me at www.operationbushcraftin.com. You can hit me up on Facebook, Facebook Messenger. If we're friends, if you got any questions, let me know. But as far as I know, that's the 10 C's, that's the Emergen C's, that's all the C's that I can come up with until I see you next time. Struggle to make pudding.